I'm here.
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Hi, sorry, but I'm in rehearsal. I got it. I'm here. Let's do it.
Cool, man. Well, I want to ask you about the show you got coming up at the Myth in Minneapolis and the whole 25 years of Fat Records kind of tour. What can we expect from that?
Well, I don't know what the audience can expect, but I know me and my friends in the bands are going to have a really good time. I mean, that's kind of why we're doing this, because I get to tour with all my friends. And the bands are definitely going to be having a better time than the audience. But you know what? That's when the audience has a good time too.
Yeah, for sure. Well, as a guy who's been on the road since back in the early '80s, can you kind of sense the punk scene, or I guess lack thereof these days? Has it kind of changed quite a bit for you guys?
You know what? I really don't see that, because Minneapolis has a Triple Rock, which is an awesome punk club. I live in San Francisco, and there's a bar 4 blocks from my house. And I see bands play there all the time, not all the time, every couple of months. And there's like 40 or 50 people there getting drunk, watching some terrible musicians have fun. So, the punk rock scene is alive and well. Just because some bands got huge doesn't mean the underground punk scene changed.
Sure. Well, and I know you are behind Fat Records, obviously. How involved are you with that day to day? Are you kind of running the place, or are you having other people do that while you're out on the road?
Yeah, I'm not in the day to day. I'm in the day a month. I sign the bands and hang out with the bands and produce records. But Fat Records, we hired lots of good people over the years, and it's a machine. So yeah, I'm not in the day to day.
Well, and there's a documentary coming out about Fat Records too. Or is that out already?
It's not out yet, and we're not behind it. Some kid is making it, and I go, it's kind of a boring story. Who's going to want to watch this? I don't think you should do it. He's like, well, I'm going to do it either way. So you could either back it or not back it. So we back it. But, we're a cool record label, but I don't know why there needs to be a documentary about us. It's just, we're a cool label. We're a family-style label, mom-and-pop label.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, NOFX, and even with Me First and the Gimme Gimmes, you guys releasing albums and EPs, pretty steadily. What do you think now of the music industry, I guess, with, kind of the pledge campaigns, financing albums, and artists kind of dodging the labels now?
It's fine with me. I mean, it's pretty cool. The one thing that labels bring, and not so much anymore, but a label like Fat Records, what it brings is legitimacy. And people know if they buy something that's on Fat Records, it's going to be of some standard, some kind of quality. If you're just any band, you're a bunch of kids, and you do a Kickstarter, you don't know if that band's good. Why would you give them money? And being on a label like Epitaph or Fat, it's like, oh shit, you got on Fat Records? You must be pretty good. So that, labels do serve a purpose still.
Yeah, it kind of seems like it's come full circle with that, bands out there kind of selling their own stuff, but you guys have always kind of been on the forefront of that anyway.
Yeah, things for us haven't changed. The only thing that's changed is that kids these days, they don't really understand. They don't even understand albums. They hear a song, and kids, they'll just listen to a verse and a chorus and turn the song off. And, albums are what the art form is about, is making an album, making, a half hour, 40 minutes of someone's time where you're telling a story, or, like Ziggy Stardust. You need to hear the album. You can't hear one song.
Sure. Well, and that kind of leads to my next question. I know you're working on a new musical, or it's out now, Home Street Home.
I'm in rehearsal right now.
Okay, yeah.
Actually.
Well, I mean, how did that come about? It seems kind of like, not a typical thing that a punk band would do, I guess.
Well, it's not really a NOFX thing. The first record I ever listened to was Rocky Horror Picture Show. I taped it from my TV, from cable, and it changed my life. And I've always loved musicals, but hated them because I don't think they're that good, except for Rocky Horror and Hedwig and Avenue Q and a couple others. So it's just a challenge to get out of my normalcy, and I've written enough punk records for the past 30 years, so I'm taking my shot at the musical world. And it's been a 6-year process. It's been incredibly hard, and I had no idea. It's like recording an album. NOFX goes in, and we record an album in a month and release it. But this is like, you record the album, and then all these people tell you what's wrong with it, and then you have to re-record it, and for 6 years. It's like, fuck. It's rough, but the musical is. I think it'll be. It's my best work. I've never spent so much time and so many hours and so many years working on one thing. And that's what I want to do. I want to put out something like a Hedwig or a Rocky Horror, something that people remember. It's a classic that I don't know. I'm super happy about it.
Well, are you going to be touring with that then, or is that just a Broadway thing?
Yeah, we want. The plan is, and we have a lot of backers right now. It's just we might open in another city, but opening on Broadway is that's the end game. It will tour, but getting on Broadway is the goal right now. We'll be there within the year.
Yeah, that would be awesome to see for sure. Hopefully that works out and you guys can tour that around.
San Francisco. We did 3 weeks in San Francisco, and that was a huge success. But the Chronicle gave us 4 to 5 stars, which is good, but we're not happy with that. We want 5 out of 5 stars. So we're workshopping it now a little bit, and we're getting all the things that weren't quite right.
Well, then I got to ask, you mentioned, doing the musical to kind of branch out. So is it difficult being in NOFX all these years, kind of still wanting to be inspired to hit the road or to write new albums? Is that ever tricky to do?
Albums is hard, writing about new subject matter, but touring it's so great because we've always, for the past 15 years, we only tour 3 weeks at a time and only 4 times a year. So only 5 times a year sometimes, but we're only gone 3 months. And when you go on tour for 3 weeks and you're hanging out with your best friends, play 12 shows, it's a great time.
Sure.
It's still a great time. I mean, I'm having more fun now than ever. The problem bands have is that they go on tour for 6 months, and then it becomes a job. You start to hate it. But you go out for 3 weeks and do 12 to 13 shows, it's a great time.
Well, and I also wanted to ask you, myself being somewhat of a half-assed bass player, just kind of curious, who you maybe would point to as some of your influences as far as that goes?
I don't have influences except for Joe from RKL. RKL was my bass influence, but maybe Steve Harris a little bit. But I don't really consider myself a bass player. I'm a songwriter, and I play bass because I don't know. It's easier than playing guitar and singing.
Exactly. Well, besides the musical you're working on, do you guys have something else coming up? Maybe a new album or anything like that?
I'm working on some new songs, but NOFX has a book coming out.
Okay.
In February or March, and that book is going to blow people's minds. It's fucking dark. It's unlike what anyone thinks it's about. It's about the 4 guys in NOFX, which coincidentally we've all had really horrendous things in our lives. And while the book is funny and interesting, there's rape and murder and molestation and counterfeiting and jail, and there's some really bad stuff in there. I think people are going to really freak out on it. But, it's neat how we've been in the band, the same people for 32 years, no fights, just really an amazing relationship. So what happens when you get in a band with a bunch of cool people. I mean, we've had some terrible things happen to us that people don't know about. So I think people will be pretty fascinated by it.
Awesome. Yeah, that book should be cool for sure. And I hope the musical makes its way through the Midwest. And again, you guys have that show coming up at the Myth on August 18th with NOFX. Again, Mike, I know you don't do a lot of interviews, so I want to thank you again for taking some time out with me.
Sure, dude. Later.
All right. Have a good one.